We're going to have a wonderful evening tonight. Very exciting. We've got a nice perch or steak dinner for you here, made by the White Lake Eagles. And then tonight's program will unfold after dinner. We're going to have different speakers. We're going to have people from the college speaking to you tonight. Bill Nesbury, Dr. John Selman, Marty McDermott, and Coach James Cheatham will tell you a little about the facility and things going on at MCC. And then we're going to hear from the roast speakers. When word got out that the MCC was going to roast Ron Gaffner, the college was inundated with phone calls of people trying to call in because they wanted to roast Ron Gaffner. So what we did is we had to hold an audition, just like The Voice and America's Got Talent. So what we have for you tonight is the best of the best. Our roast speakers will be talking to you tonight. So now we're getting set for dinner, but before we have dinner, we have Daryl White, who will give us tonight's invocation. Daryl?
Our Creator, we do come before you as we gather here this evening. We're very thankful for this opportunity. We surely enjoy the gift of men that we have. As you know, here to honor Ron Gaffner, who has sacrificed many years of service to help many young men to carry on their lives. We know that you are our Creator. You provide us with instruction to help us all to endure. So, Father, as we have an interchange of encouragement this evening, we pray that we give you honor. Without your gift of men, the grand creation that we can enjoy each day, life has true meaning. So we thank you again for this day. We thank you for this food and all the grand things that you give us, Father. And we beg forgiveness for our sins. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Because we have, starting out with the national champions, national individual champions, the Jayhawks have had 11 of them so far in the 40-plus years, and we have 5 of them here tonight. The first one in 1969, Mike Shearer of Dowagiac won the 123-pound national championship. Mike, stand up please and remain standing. Mike was the first Jayhawk to be a national champion. In 1977, Russ Swanson of Fruitport won the 118-pound national championship. Russ was also a 2-time All-American because in 78 he moved up 1 weight class at 126 and finished 3rd in the nation. In 1980, Tim Smeltzer of Owasso won the 118-pound weight class. In 1986, Jeff Steele of Plainwell won the 158-pound national champion. And in 1998, Claudel Ruffin of Flint won the 118-pound national championship. The year before, he finished 4th in 1997, so he's a 2-time All-American also. As these men remain standing, we would like to introduce the people that were finalists, finishing 2nd in the nation. In 1973, Dan Brink of Muskegon Orchard View, the 167-pound weight class. There's Dan. 1976, Fred Schmidt of Muskegon Reese Puffer, finished 2nd at 150. That Wrangler brought his own fan club.
What's that, John?
In 1980, Mike Cribbs of Muskegon Mona Shores 177-pound weight class. He's a finalist. In 1996, Chad Mast of Delton, the heavyweight class, a finalist, second place. And in 1999, James Tiedema, the current coach of Hollow West Ottawa in the 165-pound weight class. As these gentlemen continue to stand, we have the All-Americans. All-Americans are wrestlers that finished in the top 8 nationally. In 1976, Guy Redinger of Fremont finished third in the 158-pound weight class, all the way in back. 1977, Mark Starr of Charlotte. He became a two-time All-American, finishing 6th in the 126-pound weight class in both 1976 and 77. 1979, Dan Holt of Spring Lake, a two-time All-American. Finishing 3rd and 5th, respectively. 1980, Dan Yoder of Tecumseh finished 3rd in the 150-pound weight class. In 1982, right here in front, Bruce Carroll of Montague. He finished 8th in the 1990 class, and we have Bruce still standing up. Thank you for the encouragement there, folks. Bruce, up, Bruce. Stand up. 1983, Jeff Dawes of Whitehall finished 4th in the 126-pound weight class. And in 1986, Brian Jones of Whitehall finished 8th in the 134-pound weight class. We have well over 20 more wrestlers here tonight that wrestle for the Jayhawks. Please stand right now and join these men. All you wrestlers. We also, keep standing, we also have two-time All-American Darnell Ruffin joining us tonight. And to join this group, we have with us tonight Frankie Edlin, the Jayhawk wrestling manager and longtime volunteer, helping out at tournaments and golf outings. Thank you very much. What a contingent coming here tonight. And you gentlemen sit down. We also have well represented two teams that finished 2nd and 3rd in the nation. Back in '76, we had the team finishing 3rd place in the Nationals. Tonight with us, 118-pound Marty Espinoza. Please stand. Espinoza. No wonder he didn't stand. Where is he? There he is. 126-pound Mark Starr. 142-pound Dan Matthews. 150-pound Fred Schmidt. And 158-pound Guy Redinger. 3rd in the nation, 1976. In 1980, we have a team from the Jayhawks that finished in 2nd place in the nation. 118-pound Tim Smeltzer. 126-pound Joey Gould. 150-pound Dan Yoder. 177-pound Mike Cribbs. And 167-pound Brian Sims. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, Ryan.
1, 2, 3, sit. Thank you. It is my pleasure to continue on the program by introducing the MCC Provost and Executive VP, Dr. John Summer.
I just told Ron that these things are close for us to be talking about. I'm at risk here talking about it with this one. But yeah, that is so. You guys might want to think about that. I had the privilege of knowing Ron since 1970, about 39 years. Long time. I was at the St. Raptor team, and we had seen a lot of very competitive teams. And a team. And so Ron's experience always had in terms of, can you hear me back there? Okay. All right, I saw some strange faces looking at me. So, okay. But the ultimate test of a coach is a team. Is his team, and Ron's teams always passed the test. And in the mid-'80s, I would meet Ron again, and I was assistant coach with Charlie Wells. Charlie's here. He's one of the coaches that I wrestled for at Grand Rapids Community College. And again, when we coached together, got the same thing. Muskegon Community College, Ron team always passed the test. They're extremely, extremely tough. And also in the 80s, I got introduced to Ron's handshake. I don't know. And he reminded me tonight what it felt like when he grabbed my hand tonight. I think most of you might know that handshake. I don't know. I know wrestlers do. You gotta know how the handshake. So I really try to avoid the handshake. I give him a finger or two fingers. That's it. In the early 90s, though, I would meet Ron again. I was working for Denver University here on the other side of the state, and we were at a golf outing together, and Ron, we ran into each other, I think, at the time. And Ron said that he had a hole-in-one. There was 3 other people with him, and nobody was excited about it. So I said, Ron, one of the things about a hole-in-one is somebody else has to witness the hole-in-one, or it's not a hole-in-one. And so I'm hoping, there's what, 150 people here, that anybody see the hole-in-one. Oh, you like it? Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Just checking. Okay. All right. Yeah. Anyway, I was trying to get witnesses. I was incorrect. I invalidated that. And then I would meet Ron again, throughout these years. I would meet him again at Muskegon Community College when I became vice president for student services. And I would meet Ron. He was one of the first persons that would come welcome me to campus. And he's also one of the first person that put me to work on campus at his regular and wrestling meeting for about 20 hours. But he's done outstanding work in improving our wrestlers through the years, study table, helping our young men grow and develop and to move on. But the last 5.5 years ago, Ron and I get together every month for lunch. And I've always appreciated that about him. Except for one time, I took him to lunch, and we were at this place a little bit more expensive than we normally go to lunch, and I didn't realize he had a food disorder. He couldn't eat anything at the restaurant. So it cost me about $50 for a salad at this restaurant. And so I kind of fixed that. Later on, I would take him to D&L. We'd get 2 hot dogs and French fries for lunch. Yeah. Yeah, but the incredible thing about that lunch was Ron didn't figure it out for about 6 lunches that I had a coupon that it was 2 for 1. And then he changed the menu on me. I couldn't use my hot dog coupon anymore. He started ordering hamburgers and other stuff. So that changed. But we had some good conversations, a lot of good conversations around lunch. And one was about, he'd always tell me a story. He said, hey, I was 112 pounds. And I simply asked the question, now, he'd have a couple of hamburgers and a triple shake. And so I'm wondering, when were you at 112? But I did see the picture. I saw the paper, so you told somebody else that we were 112 pounds as well. So, but anyway, and I also, when I came to Muskegon, I had learned that Ron had retired at least 5 times. So I just want to ask him to stop retiring. And I'm hoping that it doesn't affect our lunch. But I think in 2012, I remember the birth memorial, he developed that, and it was one of the best run golf tournaments here that I've experienced. I've been around quite a bit and golfed all over the place, and it's one of the best run tournaments that I've ever experienced. So that's a tribute to Nadine and the other folks that were. But I made a huge mistake one time, and he's probably going to talk about it when he comes up. I know it, so I'm going to get out in front of it. So, but he called me over to go to practice one day. I've been there for a couple years on campus, and I went to practice. And so I'm going to wrestle. You know, I was 134 pounder, so I'm thinking I'm going over and wrestle 134 pounders at practice. I'm about 175, 80, but I thought I was going to wrestle with some smaller guys. Matter of fact, I had requested to wrestle smaller guys. And so Ron brings me in the wrestling room. He's laughing. You know, I mean, most of you guys know. You smiling. I know something's up. And so I get in the room, and there's 177, 190, 200, and that's the group I'm in. And so after that practice, by the way, that's the only one I ever did too in the last 6 years. But after that practice, I didn't know whether to drive myself to the hospital or go home and have my wife drive me. But I knew I needed to go to the hospital. My body was simply just shut down. My wife is here, and Ron is the person who did that. I was down for about a month, I'm telling you. It was that was incredible. So anyway, I knew that going in, I shouldn't have done it. And guess what? I never did it again. So, but Ron, we asked the president, Dr. Nesbury, he's going to come up with something. We asked Dr. Nesbury, hey, we want to honor Ron in this way. We have a facility we're building, and we have a room that we want to name his name for his outstanding contributions and commitment to quality and development of our young men. So the president, without hesitation, said, "You go for it. We'll do this," and we got the outstanding. And so we assembled an outstanding committee. John's part of that committee, but many of us are here part of that committee. That was outstanding committee, and we've been working this last year. How long is it? About a year working on this to make this a reality, the room and all. And so, but I got to tell you about a morning that the weather was so bad here in West Michigan and in Muskegon County in particular. And we canceled school, went through a protocol, we canceled school. And so, God, we got the meeting for wrestling at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so I called my good friend, Fred Smith, to try to make sure he didn't come. And Fred didn't come. And so there was one other person we hadn't called, Ron Gaffner. I called him, and his phone was on, and I hear it's like we're at the North Pole. I said, Ron, you didn't happen to go to campus to the meeting. He says, I'm just leaving, heading home. And so we had a conversation. I called it the Gaffner Inclement Weather and Meetings. And the rationale behind it is that I said to Ron, I said, if in West Michigan, well, if the state of Michigan is shut down, and West Michigan in general, and then Muskegon County in particular, we're probably going to cancel the meeting, so don't show up again. And he never has. He never has showed up again. And so, but at any rate, I wanted to just say, all of you coming here tonight is just powerful. It's impressive for our good friend Ron Gaffner, and so I appreciate all of that from all of you. And he's not going to retire. He loves this place, and we all love him. So Ron, thank you again for your outstanding commitment to the growth and development for the last 43 years of our young men. So thank you. Dr. Nesbury, our president's going to come up and make some comments, but he's the person I just talked about who also got behind this and committed to making this a reality. So Dr. Nesbury, President.
But thank you all for being here. This is very incredible. We planned for about maybe 100, 110 people. It looks like we blew that out of the water. And there's a reason why that happened. You know, I think about my career. I'm originally from Reese Puffer guy, so John never called me Dr. Nesbury. Never called me. You know, a guy who goes to high school with me, Fred, Daryl, so not gonna happen. But yeah, I go way back in terms of the area, but was out of the area for 35 years, from Boston to San Diego. And one of the words or names that I heard constantly about Muskegon Community College was Ron Gaffner. You know, you think about all the things that occur in this area, all the beauty, the excellence that's come out of Muskegon. The name that I've heard, whether I was in Boston, I run into wrestlers in Boston, they knew Ron Gaffner. Run into some wrestlers in San Diego, they knew Ron Gaffner. I mean the legend. I sometimes I kid with people and say, you know, here's a person's name, pause for effect, then I say the rest of their name because they're legendary. But Ron is that guy. You know, it's just incredible to me that we have a human being in our midst who has that kind of respect among the people who we all know and love. It's just very, very, very impressive. So, you know, I'll be brief. I wanted to thank Ron for his time with the college. I wanted to thank Nathan for supporting him during the years. You know, I'm not the roast guy. I'm basically usually I'm the money guy. I'm asking for a lot of money, but someone else is doing that tonight, so it's all good. But thank you all for being here. This tells me that what we believe to be the case is exactly what you believe the case is, that Ron Gaffner is a legend in Muskegon, legend at Muskegon Community College, and a man who we can all respect and love. So, Mr. Gaffner, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dale. I went to school with him, no disrespect. I call him Dale, not Dr. Nesbury. And he calls me John, not Mr. Arter. So it's always been good. Now we have our athletic director, the head of athletics here at MCC, Marty McDermott, to tell you a little bit more about the new facility.
I've turned it off, John. Isn't Fred Schmidt a leader? By doing that, isn't he? No! But Dr. Nesbury didn't want to ask you for money tonight, but I'm going to. Please, look at those little cards and do your whatever and to support Jayhawk Athletics and this room that we're going to name after Coach Gaffner. Coach has taught me a lot of things. First thing, he taught me how to break a hand. Oh, I meant shake a hand. Ouch. No, I've been here about 10 years, and one of the first people I did meet was Coach Gaffner, and has taught me a ton. He allowed me to do a lot of things that I didn't know I could do. One of the things that we know about Coach Gaffner is he's very organized. Very, very, very organized. And maybe also. And I'm just going to tell two little stories, and I don't know if they're true or not. Probably not. The first one was somebody was in your house one time and got into your cupboards, and your soup was alphabetized. The soup in his cupboard was alphabetized. We've got confirmation right here. The second one was, and this was a little trick that his office mates used to play on him, and this is second, third game, okay? That Ron always put his pencils in a specific spot. And his office mates would just kind of mess with him and move it over about 2 or 3 inches and see what would happen. And they'd come back. And that would be exactly where it needed to be. So, never had a problem with Ron not being organized. But really my job here tonight was to explain a little bit about our new facility. This is going to be an awesome facility, not only for our athletic department, but for our academic side of the house also. We've got some renderings. This one over here is kind of the view right when you walk in, a new fitness center, weight area that'll be used by our athletes and by all of our students. On this side, we do have a rendering of the Ron Gaffner room. It's going to look like, we'll have John take a peek at that, but it's going to be a state-of-the-art, multi-purpose room, wrestling area that is going to be used by all students, our wrestling program, and it's going to get us to be where we need to be, because I listened to all those NCAA champions or NJCAA champions, and we still are in the same room that you guys were wrestling in. So it's time. So please, fill, if you can, those cards, fill them out, do what you can. We would appreciate everything that you can do to help us out with this project. And the last thing I'll say, one other thing that I learned from Coach Gaffner is that if you have passion for what you do and persistence, that you're going to change a lot of lives. And Coach Gaffner has done that. Thanks, Coach.
Hello. Sounds good. I'll start with this. But I found a new home at Muskegon. Coach Gaffner brought me in, very supportive. Yeah, we'd love to have you. Come on in. I did really well at Muskegon. Got a great opportunity to move on to a 4-year school and wrestle with scholarship, which Muskegon provided me with that, and did really well and was successful at the 4-year school. Having Coach Gaffner, be my coach and help me get recruited to the next level, it is an important part of the process. Some of you might not know that aren't wrestlers here. Some coaches, when you're done wrestling after nationals as national runner-up, would be thanks, good luck, and that's it. Coach Gaffner doesn't do that. He helped me, I think an exact quote, if I can remember it from 15 years ago, was, "Tell me where you want to go and I'll get you there." I was like, "Oh, all right, well, I don't know. I don't know where I want to go." But I ended up, finding a home and doing well there. And that's kind of what I try to do with our kids that come in. Not all the kids come to us right out of high school. In a small school, sometimes they're not the first choice for a kid. But when he comes to Muskegon, I try to make that the best choice he could have made and find him a good home, a good place to go, find him scholarship opportunities at the next level, do what Coach Gaffner did for me. And that's kind of what I bring and what I hope to continue and kind of build a tradition on what he did for kids, continue to do that and make it a great place for people to go and wrestle. So that's kind of why Muskegon is important to me and why I wanted to come back and coach and help out at the school. Talking about our facilities, what better way to convince kids that instead of their second choice, we should be their first choice with a brand new gym, brand new 2-full mat wrestling room, new weight room, all that good stuff. It's definitely going to put us above what other junior colleges especially recruit from, but a lot of the smaller Division II, Division III schools with these new facilities. The support we get from not only the community and you guys that are here today, but from our administration and making sure that this facility had a wrestling room is phenomenal. You know, as wrestlers, you guys know, there's a lot of high schools, a lot of colleges that wrestling isn't one of the main sports, but that's not the case at Muskegon. And it's a huge honor to be coaching at a school that wrestling is so important. So not only thank you to our administration, the people that are making this possible, but thank you for coming here tonight. It really means a lot. Definitely motivates me to do more for our program and our kids. I did have a couple announcements I wanted to make though before I left. Where's Fred Smith? Fred, where you at?
Fred's everywhere.
Where you at, Fred? Come on up. Yeah, he was way in the back corner. Come on up, Fred. Fred told me earlier today that he thought he could take down anybody in here. And I believe him. No, he said, I think I can take anybody down in here. And I agree. I got $20. If anybody wants to take him outside in the yard, we got a nice green yard. Out of bounds are really far away. If you want to take him down, I got $20 if you think you can do it. So I just want to throw that out there before I sit down. I think we got to take him. I'll do double or nothing if you get him the first time. Yeah, that's good. I don't think it'll help. Dan, you're in? Coach said you're in. If Coach tells you you got to do it, you got to do it. I can't hear you. I'll just see you outside. Good. All right, good. Thank you. And the second announcement is really just for the wrestlers here tonight that wrestled for Muskegon. I just want to let you know, none of the meal money you pay today is going to help buy Gaffner beers today. I just want to make sure you know that. Some of you guys I've heard are kind of upset about it. So I just want to leave with that. And also a huge thanks. Really, I wouldn't be here today without Coach Gaffner. He's done an amazing job for 43 years. He's technically my assistant, but I don't think I've told him what to do yet. Literally he calls me on the phone, hey, do you want me to do this? I'm like, yes. How about this? Have you done this? No. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I thought you were going to do that. And he takes care of things like that. He makes me look really good. We've had a lot of success since I've been here, but it's not all for me. We definitely have other coaches, like Coach Chinkins, that helps us with our recruiting. We got a big family, a lot of people that help out, officials and alumni around the state that refer kids to us. So it's a real honor to be the coach here. I'm glad you guys are here. Hope you have a good evening. And let's give Coach Gaffner a round of applause.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. Our next speaker, when he heard about the roast of Ron Gaffner, he couldn't stay away. All the way from St. Louis, Missouri, he didn't come by plane, he didn't take a bus. He drove all the way from St. Louis, Missouri, and who would know more about Ron Gaffner than his older brother, Gary. Gary Gaffner.
Okay, the hug and kiss me stuff. We want to say a couple of things before we do that. So, one, I'd like to introduce my sister, Laura Harris. If there's been a good force in his life, she's probably there. I want to tell you a couple of things. I want to acknowledge the program. What my brother has done. I didn't chance to meet because of him. There are some real strange characters in here. My ex-wife asked me one time, after she met Ron and some of his friends, she said, does wrestling make you crazy? But you have to be crazy to wrestle. 50 years, I still don't know the answer to that one. I was talking to Dick Anderson last night about the stories that we might tell. And he kept going, can't tell that one. Oh no, that one would never go. The problem with most of the good stories about Ron is, if we told them, they would either end up in somebody's divorce, a lawsuit, or somebody going away in handcuffs. So you're going to get somewhat an edited vision tonight. Let me tell you a little bit about Ron growing up. He was in the second grade, I was in the sixth grade. My dad decided he wanted to be a farmer, so we moved out into the country, and we went to a one-room country school. And we really did walk a mile back and forth, uphill, both ways, in the snow up to our waist, and it was dark. But going to a one-room school and you've got your brother and your sister sitting in the same classroom with you, you can get away with anything. So he's been playing catch-up ever since. We had no athletic facilities in the one-room country school. We had a patch of dirt, an underinflated basketball, and a broken hoop. And that was our phys ed program. Except on Fridays, when we would square dance. Neither one of us liked square dancing in the least. So when we moved back to town, we went from the farm into Williamson, and he was going to be on his own now. So my mother said, now you've got to keep an eye on him, kind of protect him, because he's the baby. Mama's favorite, Dad's favorite. Any middle child in here knows how that story goes. She'd go, Daddy! He'd go, Mama! And I'd go for the door. So anyway, my mother asked me to keep an eye on my brother and take care of him. The result being, whenever he got in trouble, he'd get a pat on the head. Then she'd turn on me. Why did you let him get in trouble? Why did you tell him to do that? Why weren't you there? And this went on for years. Finally, I said to her one time, I said, Mom, he's really got to start taking responsibility for himself. I live 700 miles away. The man's 50 years old. One last thing I want to share with you. This is the story of how Ron became a wrestler, which actually started before he got involved. When I was an 8th grader, we had moved to Williamson. The wrestling coach was our gym teacher. He was a crusty little guy from Oklahoma. And he played this Canadian gym class called battle ball. And it was, the object was to split the class in half. With this big canvas ball they pushed end to end in the gym. And that's the score, touching the ball. No rules. So we're playing this battle ball game. And I happened to catch the coach bent over. Trying to pull one of my friends off the ball, so I punched him in the ribs. He stood up, looked at me, reared back and punched me in the nose. Now, this is a high school student. Blood pouring out of my nose. And of course, because in education, know what he said to me. He said, do you want to go to a safe space? We'll get you a counselor and you can talk to a lawyer. what he said was, true quote, "You stop bleeding or I'll hit you again." I went and got some tissue, stuck with my nose, went back to the game. So the next November, he passes me in the hall and he said, "Wrestling practice starts tomorrow. See you there." Okay. There was only one answer to that question, "Yes, sir." So I dragged him along the next time. That was his introduction to wrestling, to punching my nose. I'm going to leave you with one more story, and this is from his college days. I was at Michigan State. He went to Central Michigan. We used to go up to visit on the weekends, and we might have a few buddies, couple. But the story actually takes place about 10 years after that. I had graduated on mid education. He had, reminds me, he had a big influence on my teaching career. My first job after graduating was in the state reform school. It seemed like a natural move. That was followed by 27 years in special education. Seemed like a natural move. Anyway, the story I wanted to tell you, because of my involvement with special education, I became involved with Special Olympics. And they used to hold the Special Olympics games, as they still do, at Central Michigan. So I was up there for something related to that, and I decided to take a couple friends out for a drink. So we went to one of the local bars. I don't know what the name of the bar is, but I always knew it as the Bird Bar. I walked in the door, guy behind the bar looked up and said, "You know you can't come in here." I had to get my driver's license out, prove that I was not a certain person in this room before they would let me in the bar. Last thing I want to say is it's been 73 years. I'm done. He's yours.
Our next speaker is a longtime friend of Ron's who met Ron here in the Muskegon area. They have a longtime friendship, and this person, his home state is a four-letter word. Dick Anderson.
You sound you're funny. Isn't he really funny, guys? Yeah. Well, Barry, I don't know if I could top some of that stuff, but the end is over as far as being nice goes. Yeah. And it's true, one of the speakers said that we had a little bit of a problem with the things we could relay to this group. Now, if it was all guys, that's one thing. But having women, youth here, far be it from me to tell some of those stories that I really love to tell. And Marty, it's absolutely the truth. Let me go back a little bit and tell you how I know this. For those who aren't aware, I had a real estate company, I've had for a long, long time. And we happened to be selling one of Ron's houses. And I got back in the office, and several of the agents came in and said, Dick, is your friend okay? I said, well, sure. He's like, what's wrong? Well, do you know he advertises his soup cans? So as far as being organized, yeah, he's great. It's fantastic, you know. It's all about being organized. Now listen, you signed the last one here. So I can't do my big speech? No? Can I do it? Is it all right? I just had a couple of salient points that I wanted to make sure I didn't miss, so I put them down here. And I've known Ron for a long time in various capacities. Ron's my friend, and we go back a ways, and we've done some things. And like I say, I'll relate some stories that I can. But one of the things you look at a man like Ron, and you say, how does he get to where he is, and what's it all about? Well, there are certain items that are significant, I think, in the position that Ron has and achieving some of the things that he's been able to do. You know, motivation is obviously one of them. Determination, positive attitude, he never quits. I mean, he never quits, no matter what. I think just the fact that he's a problem solver, and we just said he's organized, right? Okay. I think, and he's always got your back. Is that what you said? One more time.
Got your back.
Yeah. We'll tell a little story about that in a minute, guys. So this is going to be good. But as far as being organized, we covered that. The problem solver was something that I was made aware of it probably, I'm going to tell you, 15, 16, 17 years ago. Ron and I were driving up, I think it was 120 or Whitehall Road or something. And we had the radio on loud, and I'm not sure, we had an appointment at an establishment that we needed to get to. What? No, this was important. I think they had Miller Lite in bottles. I think that was it. At any rate, we were trying to get there, and we had the radio loud, and that was what? Medicinal, yeah, it's medicinal. So we're driving along, and I'm driving, I'm going pretty lickety split, and all of a sudden, I didn't realize there was an ambulance coming up behind us. Yeah. All of a sudden, this two-lane road, and I saw him at the last minute. I swerved over, he swerved out around and came back in front of me. And you know how these E units are, they've got the double doors in the back and whatnot. Well, evidently another car was coming the other way, and he had to cut right back in and really swerve. Back door flies open, of the emergency unit. And this cooler drops out. You know one of these little coolers that, I said, oh my goodness. It's got to be a body part. I hope it's not a heart. So now I'm over on the side of the road, and I jump out of the car, and I go down in the culvert, and I get down there, and I open the thing up, and thank goodness there wasn't a heart, but there was a human toe, a big toe, on ice, all wrapped up. I'm yelling up at Ron. And so I put the thing back, I carried it up the hill. I figured we got to go catch the unit. He's on the damn phone. I said, what are you doing? He said, I just called Central Wrecking. I said, what do you call Central Wrecking for? He says, I called for a tow truck. And these are stories I can tell. But anyway, Ron and I really got close when we started the project called Harbor Town. And all we had down there was a big marina, 300 slips. Ron was the marina manager, and the guy was in charge of everything. And it was quite a setup, and he ran a tight ship. Both my daughters, one of whom is here tonight, will attest to that fact. And everything was just boom, 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 organized this way, not. What's your sign saying? Do it my way, we'll get along? Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, same time, get along, do it my way. We had not too many, John Foy and some of the rest of you will know what we're talking about. There weren't too many boats down there when we first started. We had a lot of slips and a huge parking lot, didn't we? The parking lot was forever. And it seems that some of the young people in our community decided that, well, it would be a good drag strip. So they went out in the back part of the parking lot and they started drag racing. Coach came to me and he said, what are we going to do? He said, we're going to stop that. I said, I agree, we got to stop it. Well, what we had a elevated parking lot, and you went down steps to the marina. Well, on either side of the stairs, there were buildings with flat roofs that had pebble stone as roofs. You've all seen that type of thing, right? Well, Ron had it figured out. So the next time we heard the engine revving up there, he says, "Come on, go with me, let's go." So we ran up the stairs and each grabbed rocks from the top of from the top of the buildings. And then we had a contest to see who could hit the most cars. No, he didn't. I think I still hit one and you did. You know, anyway. Yeah, whatever. No, he said I didn't throw any. Whatever. Come on. But the thing that I really appreciated was the fact that hey, he could solve problems. That's all he was doing, solving problems. Now, one of the things I've always told my buddy Ron is I was a jock, but I was a football player. All right. And I've always told him, Mose and some of the rest of it, I said the only way I'd ever be a wrestler if it was co-ed. Well, I was working up in Whitehall, I believe, a tournament, and sitting at the table, and Freddie came over with the participants to start the thing, and I looked up, and oh my goodness, there's a guy and there's a girl. And I said, well, things are changing. But why do I bring this up? Because on a certain recruiting trip, this came into play. And just bear with me, and I'll tell you what happened. We have an annual shopping trip, Christmas shopping trip. We go and we shop for our wives and loved ones, and we might have a little dinner, a little lunch, and then we might have a couple pops, and then we spend at least a half an hour in the stores. Not a lot more because we're busy. What are you laughing at? You've been there too. So anyway, this particular time, Ron says, "Well, I've got a maybe a double duty I can pull. I've got a recruiting deal that I can pull off here." And I said, "Recruiting? And Dale? Where's Dale?" Dale, I want you to know it wasn't just recruiting wrestlers. You have a fine arts program, and he thought, well, maybe we get some wrestlers, because of the gender situation. But also we have some, the fine arts. Maybe dancing would be. Yeah. So anyway, we went in, and I was so proud of him. I tell you what, he really, you saw the coaching come, you saw the technique come out. These girls, and they needed scholarships because they couldn't even afford clothes. But anyway, this is a story I can tell. So, but I just, I'll cut it short because John's starting to give me the eye here. I grew up as a coach's son. And I just want everybody in here to know, I know you all do, how wonderful, how lucky we are, the community is, to have something like this. This man could be anywhere in the country as far as coaching. And the coaching, I went to 3 different high schools. Why? Because my father was moving up each time from high school to college, bigger college, etc. Well, guess what? We had a man that thinks we're worth staying with. It's winning is what everything? No. Winning's important, and we all want to do it, and none of us are good losers. That I'll guarantee you. All right? But winning to this coach means more than what's on the scoreboard, on the tally sheet. Winning to him is having a positive influence on the youth that he encounters. You're all here, you witness that, you bear witness to that. And all I can say, Ron, Coach, I love you. You're my bud. God bless you. And look, I got your back.
Thank you very much, Dick.
A rock thrower. A rock thrower. Another attribute we didn't know about. Being the MC and having the duties, I won't be able to tell you about some of Ron's OCD tendencies. I won't be able to tell you about how Ron's a picky person, picky eater. You know, he snubs his nose up at the majority of food groups, and it probably explains why he had a challenging time trying to compete on the Williamson High School football team, looking through his eye hole as he's trying to compete. He's a 90-pound winner. Also, the last thing I can't tell you about being the MC is Ron Gaffner, Mr. Nutrition. He taught nutrition over there at MCC. Well, my wonderful wife, Kim, had a nice 40th birthday surprise for me, and had a lot of our friends over at the house, and she had a nice wifey's cake with that nice icing on and everything. Well, Ron's one of the first ones to get to an event, and he's one of the last ones to leave. So there was just a relatively few people that were still left. Must have been midnight, it would have been later than that. But only half the cake was gone. And so here's Ron, as we're having a light beer from Miller. He's there with Dorito chips, Mr. Nutrition, using that like a snowplow going through that icing, just shaving my cake and eating it all until it was a bare cake. So there's Mr. Nutrition for you. Our next speaker is a longtime coach and mentor of Mona Shores Wrestling and a good friend of Ron's, Mr. Don Mosley.
Thanks, Sean. In the fall of 1974, Ron became the coach at community college, and he had an area clinic for high school coaches. That was my first opportunity to meet this guy, and this is 43 years later, so I feel qualified to be up here. I kind of know him somewhat. I can't tell you everything, but there's not a lack of material, I'll tell you that. Mr. Gaffner, Coach Gaffner, had one guy that we used to call him Hulk Hogan because he had a team. Anybody knows that he's kind of a unique personality. Of course, he's intelligent, he's a smart unit. Absolutely. He also, for some reason, he likes to miniature game. You know, I think that's kind of a typical wrestler. You know, when you're a wrestler, you make kind of suffer out there and stuff. He carries it over to his friends, you know. Has anybody had the friendly handshake where you got one knuckle left, or the old trapezius? Like, hey. Of course, if you do that to him, that's what he does. He burns. I think he's a masochist too, because he doesn't feel pain. No, he doesn't. But he's big man. You know, anybody ever thought that wrestling, cutting weight and stuff, will stunt your growth? Here's a good example right here. He was a 95-pounder, like a lot of people in here. I mean, wrestling does not stunt your growth, I'll tell you that. In addition to his size and so on, he also knows a lot of wrestling, judo, throw judo in there. We're out on the golf course, and you know, golf is not really a fun sport. You know, it's like read a book at Barnes and Noble or something. Like golf. So we're out, and one of our guys, I don't know, Lucky or whatever, he hits a nice shot, throws up on the green. So I'm The guy takes her ball and throws it off the green. And Gaffner goes, that wasn't very nice. I said, I don't think it was nice either. So, but then here's the kicker. The guy comes with the golf club. And I thought, oh no, you're not going to really do this, are you? So, one of our guys said, you got one club, you're going to bring your whole bag because you're going to need it. So, all of a sudden, Gaffner had enough, and he gets out of the car, it's like a runaway truck, and he starts going up there and going, what is happening here? All of a sudden, the guy saw him and goes, oh, hey, homeboy, how's it going? Kind of changes tune in the heartbeat. And then I tell you about one other situation. Remember when I grew up at Central, and that Saturday morning clinic, we had a rush out and stuff like that. So we had a clinician by a guy named Russ Ellison. Russ Ellison is a wounded medalist. So, partner, like a wrestling dummy. Next thing I know, my good friend, he volunteered me. Do you remember that? And I have to add a couple more things. First of all, at a wrestling clinic, you might go out Friday night, so this is like 9 o'clock. And so I'm dressed up, I'm just kind of trying to pick back sleeves and doing that. Next thing I know, I'm his wrestling dummy. Going to the air, but the sun stopped when we hit the mat. And then he would do a good one, and Gaff said, that's a good one, can I see that again? Remember that. But I haven't been to a chiropractor since. I had to ask you. It stressed me out. But our good friend of Coach Gaffner, not a lot, some of my wrestlers very nice. I have to bring the comment to my Chris, who's in the high Wrestlers are unique. Special running rod, there's special bonding. You go through the trenches and mold these young people. Think about a number of times that these sports people as a father figure, as a mentor, as a true friend. I'll tell you one thing, he's one of my best friends, a love friend. Probably a asshole. Anybody who's earned coach, what's happening in the program, certainly deserves all. And I'm very proud to be your friend and coach you.
Thank you very much, Don Mosen. I know Coach Gaffner appreciates some of the Mona Shores wrestlers you sent over there to help make the Jayhawks so successful also. I've heard the talk about Central Michigan a few times, and who else would talk about Ron Central Michigan and other stories is his roommate and teammate up at Central Michigan, Bob Trelo.
The first thing I want to do is take a real credit and Stephen and use a baseball analogy that built it and they will come. The people that built it very coincidentally this on my way up here today I got a phone call And it was from a friend of mine called Randy Minnick, who works at Elmo. He said, you want to go out this afternoon and have a couple of beers or whatever? I said, no, I'm going to Gaffner's, da-da-da-da. And he said, really? He said, Sage is coming up there. I know that doesn't mean anything, but it does mean this man recruited this kid who's on his way up here. So, as I said earlier, basically, build it and he will come. This is my Muskegon Wrestling Show. This is my Muskegon Wrestling Show. And this is the best coach that Muskegon ever had had. Anyways, seriously, the people that know me understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, the way I'm doing what I'm doing. If that makes sense, then you're probably right. When I first got wind of the idea that this gentleman was going to be roasted, I thought of different people that watch on TV. One of them was Dean Martin. Nobody was cool with Dean Martin. He was such a kind of few. And then the next person was Joan Wilkins. And that's okay, by the way. And then the one that really got me was the Don Rickles. And I thought, with all these wrestlers in the room, there's no way that it could be outdone by Don Rickles to be as rude and as obnoxious as that man with all these wrestlers. It's perfect. And the last one was Foster Brooks. And I thought to myself, that's the way this man will be talking to you later this evening. And I thought, perfecto. Okay, so a couple things. Da-da-da. Well, it's been because that's what I do. I lived with Ron for Lakewood. I like it. Layla, you're out, he's in. And I did live with Ron for a while. That's in Mount Pleasant area. And that's when I found out that I thought I was a neatnik. I thought I was a perfectionist. I thought everything this guy outshone me every day. I mean, it was amazing. And of course, his organization's called good. And then we wrestled together at Central, long time ago. Traveled on numerous trips. NCAAs, tournaments, sporting events. I even went to almost all of his weddings. And the only reason I missed that one, I couldn't afford to go to another one. Was that okay? I mean, somebody earlier was talking about you can't say this, you can't do that. But I didn't, if I can be on the other end, I didn't really intend to roast Ron in the true tradition. However, I'm going to seize this opportunity. To go on a different avenue, and I mean this a little bit more. I want you people to tell you what a big thing that has been to me and my family over the years. I looked up friend in the dictionary and it's defined as a person who you like and enjoy being around or being with. I I think you all will empathize with this really comments. Someone, a friend is someone who supports you or helps you no matter what. He's attached to you because of the esteem you hold for that person. A favorite companion. We're old friends. We've been friends for over a half a century. Notice a lot of the old. But in that entire time, Ron has never been what's in it for me back. He's been completely unconditional. We supported things. Now, if you think about the comments I'm making, this involves all the people he's involved with, including people. Think about it. Unconditional. I've been around the block with this guy for a long time. He has never, ever said what's in it for me. He's always done it for others. Ron, I mean it, dude. I love you. I admire you. Yeah. I don't know what I've done without you for a long time. You're a great friend. Thank you.
The mic was away at that time. Thank you, Bob. The next person that was slated to speak, Harry McGinnis. He's the Triton College coach. He was all set. We were all set for May 6th, and then he got switched back for a couple of weeks to May 20th. And just this last week, he realized that his son was graduating from Triton College. So he called me this last week, and he's very apologetic. He and Ron are very close, and trying to let him down easy. I said, Harry, don't worry about it. You know that Ron is retired 4 or 5 times. There's probably 3 or 4 more goals, so you can make the second or the third. We have a person that has coached up here at Whitehall. He was a 2-time state champion coach at Dansville. He coached football over at Eastern Michigan. Mr. Tom DePewitt, better known as Sugar Bear.
Thank you. What an awesome night tonight, I'll tell you this. Ron Gaffner, Gaffner. The G stands for the dreaded grip that Mr. Mosley started on. The handshake, of course, we've all had. But the dreaded claw, everybody has in common. But if you did it, you remember. I remember the first time I went into the bar with Ron, well, maybe it wasn't the first time. Went into the bar with Ron down the street, and the place was packed. All of a sudden, everybody scattered because the claw was out, and they had it before. A. Well, Ron misspelled his name. It should have been A+. A+ as a man, A+ as a coach, A+ as a recruiter, A+ as a friend of mine. I'm really happy and proud to be a friend of Ron's. And I did get him a couple years before you, because Hayden was there at the first point. F stands for friend. Well, everybody knows he's a great friend. I want you to know I'm here representing Miller Lite tonight. They're the best friend we've had for the last 40 years. The other F is for full. Every wrestler in there has been in the ring with Ron, wanted to get a chance to get back at him somehow. Because he would put the crossroads on you, but whatever it was, you remember. And you wanted that chance to get it. Well, one night I was feeling my oats, and I'm saying, all right, this is it. I'm going. So So I get all set up and I get ready to go. And I come out on the head for him. Bang! His glasses go flying one way, his butt goes flying the other way. And man, am I happy. He gets up and goes, man, that was a good shot. I said, thanks a lot, you put a dent in my truck. That's a true story. And is never forget, and you won't, the association with Coach Gaffner. What he's done for kids, I guess you can say. A lot of us kids have silver hair now, not gray. But just everything that he has done is reflected in what's going to be named after him. Every time you go by there, your kids go by there, their kids go by there, they're going to remember it and we're going to remember it about how hard Ron worked day in, day out, whether it was recruiting, coaching, learning, or drinking beer, he's the best. He is for the Energizer Bunny. Just so much energy given by Ron. I worked on the golf clinic last year. I was worn out, and I'm sitting on my butt with one leg, you know? Just tremendous energy. And we've all felt it from him. Everybody that's ever been near him felt it. And I'd just like to say, man, thank you so much for being a friend. And the R, so are you ready to say thank you for Ron Gaffner being Ron Gaffner? Thank you, we love you.
We almost witnessed the claw right here. Our next speaker is a Jayhawk wrestler and former Jayhawk assistant coach, the soft-spoken and dedicated Joe Gould.
Well, folks, this is a pretty good turnout for a wrestling event. 1980, I won 2 years for Coach Gaffner. Then I went on up to Bears for years. Come back to Muskegon and Coach Gaffner said, I need an assistant coach. And my job. I had no idea what I was going to do. I started hanging around a lot of wrestlers. Coaches, basically all down the track. And you know I'll stay where they are. But I think people are giving Coach too much credit. He's not near as lovable as he used to be. And I wrestled, all of you guys out there wrestled, Beck and John. Stories, and a couple of them with you. We were wrestling in Merrimack Community College down in St. Louis, and Coach was pretty irritable that day, but that was not uncommon. So, me, Larry Biondo, and Coleman, I believe, were overweight, and so Coach was even more upset. But we had time to make weight. I think he overreacted. Larry was the type of guy that always had to get the last word in. He was the guy that went home 1 pound overweight. And come in the next day 3 over, and then we tried to justify the coach how he didn't touch anything, didn't bring nothing, didn't eat nothing, but gained 2 pounds. Well, coach wasn't having any of that. Matter of fact, he got more upset. So Ron started walking away, and we were going to take off running. And I think Larry munched something, and coach heard it, and coach turned around and started crying and he said, it's like, if you think you're hungry now, you don't make weight, I'm going to put you on a bus back in Muskegon without any meal money. And at that time, we really believed him. So we made weight. But it had another story, and Ron's real comfortable and recognized, and he is lovable, and but when he said we were leaving for the tournament in the morning for 6:50 in the morning to get to school, the bus is leaving at 6:30. Well, we had a tournament, and that was the routine, and there was one guy that didn't show up. 6:30 came along, and the coach said, load him up. So we did. So I'm not even 3 blocks away from the school, and I see all these lights. I see all these lights flashing at me. I see the horn, and hear the horn, and I got everybody driving. I got everybody in the back of the bus saying, that's Jimmy. Jimmy's there, coach. Let's stop and get him. And coach, I started to slow down, looking for a spot to turn around, because we're going into Apple Avenue. And coach said, what are you doing? And I said, well, are you going to pick up Jimmy? And he said, 6:30. So we kept going, and guess what? Jimmy didn't wrestle that day. But nobody has talked about Ron's driving skills. And I still have nightmares about it. We would take turns, on a long road trip home. We would speak a little bit and I but if you ever heard that sound of a grab on the side of the road, you woke up. And I would say, coach, when you sleep, again, you need to holler at me. Like, you're going to sleep. I'm okay. And then eventually, I think he just did it so I would drive him. So he wouldn't have to. But to put his driving skills in perspective, every year, new kids would come in and experience with driving, so they had no idea how to go. We like to sleep. So we were coming back from the tournament, and the next time we went to another tournament, nobody wanted to get on his van. So he started putting a roster assignment list on the door with both vans, and we took 2 vans because nobody would get on his van. So I really enjoyed the opportunity for wrestling, for coaching under him, and love all the time that I spent with him. It was a lot of fun, and a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, Joey Gould. But as we move right along, our next speaker is a Jayhawk wrestler and former Jayhawk head coach, Mark Brummer. Mark?
Evening, everybody. So he's right about Joe Gould. Coach Gould was right about the driving stuff. I was really happy when we got to the charter buses and we didn't have to worry about Coach Gaffner driving anymore. That was good. He actually stopped driving a little bit before that. Larry Hahn was the head coach before I was, and I don't think Larry, you're not here, are you? Good, let's talk about you a little bit. So at least Coach Gaffner would get to where you're going. We were going to Lincoln, and we got split up. We had the 15 passenger vans, we got split up, and I get a cell phone call a few hours later from Larry, and he says, I'm at the hotel, but they don't have our reservations. You got all that stuff, right? And I said, yeah, but we're at the hotel, and we're in our rooms, actually, and we've been here for quite a while. And Larry went to Wabash, which was next week's event. So, Coach Gaffner at least always got us to where we were going. All right. Ron Gaffner, he's the only man I know that would meet you at Founders and order a Miller Lite. What do we do? We're a bunch of dumbasses, I guess. We're getting up here to Coach Rod Gaffner. He's over 70, and we put up about as good a fight against him as some extras in a Bruce Lee movie. It wouldn't be pretty, I tell you. He diced through all of us. To say that he's old would be wrong. No, that's not true. Fact is, he's ageless, timeless, just like his sneakers and his flip phone. He's been coaching so long, and he'll tell you this himself. I'm not wrong, I told you. He'll tell you this himself. You know that Thornton Stone Quarry, and I didn't know the name of it, I just looked it up today, but it's that big stone quarry that you pass over on the way to Triton in Chicago. When he started coaching, the first time he went to Triton, it was a pothole. And the length of time he's been coaching, it sure has brought us all together, though. Like, I started thinking about that earlier today, but when I got here and I saw the people in this room, it really hits you that we're all here because of one person. And we're all here because of Ron Gaffner. And that's kind of staggering, you think that the old Star Wars quote, Obi-Wan, he says it's the force that binds us all together, and he's the force. And if it wasn't for him, it's unlikely that I would have ever met Fred Schmidt, or I probably know him. He just would have been that referee I complained about coaching high school. And Fred, man, he's a tough as nails All-American. He's been in knife fights, but he didn't have a knife, and he'd still come out on top. From decades before, I have no business knowing him, or Greg Pressler, or Swanee. They're all way before my time. But Coach Gaffner brings us back together, and he does it often. And for that, I'm really thankful that I get to know these guys on a deeper level. Was it Fred? That was the bad official? No, was that Mike Cribbs?
Both!
No, sorry, it's Fred. Fred is so bad at officiating that we thought we can use this to our advantage. So Coach started hiring him to ref the Ben McMullen Open. Only he was a high school official, not a college official. So he throws this guy out of a tournament. And then we got fined because Fred was not a registered official with the NCAA. Is that right, Eric? Eric, where are you? Can you confirm this? And it didn't help us that we had Fred there anyway. I mean, he was so self-conscious about getting homer calls for us that he would go the opposite direction. We didn't get a single call. I don't know if we've ever gotten a single call from Fred. Well, this isn't his roast, is it? Sorry. In all seriousness, though, we wouldn't know. I wouldn't know Bruce, Buckeye. I wouldn't know Coach Gould, John Arter, Greg Pressler, Swanee. Some of my closest friends, my pals, Craig Christensen, Mike McKelly, Joe Burby, Kevin Gue, Shandar Riggs, David Chirazis, Rick Sykes, Chad Kick. Coach Tiedema came up. I didn't know Coach Tiedema, and he was only 5 or 6 years behind me, but I didn't know Coach Tiedema. until he came up and coached with me, and we're great friends. And Coach Tiedemann introduced me to the loudmouth back there, Tom Jenkins. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, these guys, you guys crack me up, all of you. I've had such a great time being part of this program, wrestling for Coach Gaffner. And then getting to be a part of the program as a coach was a wonderful thing. And I'm just a little kid from Williamston, just like he was. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. And I didn't know the first thing about applying for college or signing up for classes, but Coach Gaffner took the time to do all that stuff for you. He didn't say you in front of a counselor. I mean, he'd go through and tell you, this is what you need, this is what you need, this is how you fulfill the macro agreement. Whoever knew what a macro agreement was? I didn't. I'm sure that can speak for a lot of us here. So he's a big part of the reason that I fell in love with the city of Muskegon and West Michigan. So when it comes to that, I moved back to this area and I met my wife and I have a wonderful son, and this is the guy. So like a second father. I'm just one man of many up here, and I'm sure all of you have stories just like that about Coach Gaffner. So on behalf of all of us, thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much, Mark Brunger. Our next speaker is a Jayhawk wrestler, the current Jayhawk wrestling broadcaster, and a big help on the steering committee, Mr. McKelly.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody. Coach, this is for you. I was excited. I got the Coach and I met going on 30 years now. I was given the opportunity to come and be a part of his wrestling class because the college had dropped the program back when I was a sophomore in high school. They dropped me as a freshman. As a sophomore, Coach Brink had told me I should take this class. So I go and take the class. And it became a thing where when I was deciding where to go to school after I graduated, I really didn't have a choice. I was part of Coach's class. They switched the program back up, so I'm a Jayhawk. So now I'm a Jayhawk. So here we are. So I was afraid to be anything other than a Jayhawk. So the fear, when I decided that I would speak tonight, started coming back on me like it did back when I was 17 years old. I said, I got so much I really need to say. I have, all these wrongs that were done to me when I was a kid. I really have an opportunity now to say something and kind of get back at them. But then you start thinking about, wow. But I really start telling the stories. It's like these guys over in the corner who have so many stories to tell. All you guys have so many stories to tell. And you really can't tell the stories. Because, right there, well, you can't tell the stories. I mean, shit, they dropped the program. The college brass would look at me and go, okay, so you're telling me that Coach Gaffner, you came in as a freshman and he had you drive to tournaments? And, well, yeah, so what you're saying is Friday, get in the van, everybody get in the van, get in the van on Friday, and we wouldn't go to the wrong place unless Coach was driving and you guys lost in the shady side of Chicago, but we would go. I would get in the van and I'd start driving, and I'd drive to the hotel. We stay at the hotel, and I'd get in the room with the four guys, and we couldn't eat because back then it was on site. So the next morning I'd get up, I'd weigh in, I'd wrestle the whole day, and I'd get back in the van and I'd start driving again. So I'd look over, and here he is, like Joey said, he's sleeping. So, and he's usually sleeping with a bag of peanut M&Ms on his lap, but he doesn't tell everybody that. Only the people that sit next to him when he's driving know that he has a bag of peanut M&Ms with him. So I felt special. I got peanut M&Ms, even though I got to drive, weigh in, wrestle, drive around, did all that. So I did that for a year. Now I don't know how many of you took 3 years to get through a 2-year program, but I was one of those guys. And he did go through, like Ron said, he went through the macro agreement, so like you listen and you listen. And if you didn't listen, then it took 3 years to get through the program. So I took 3 years to get through the program. So I get through the program and I'm thinking, all right, I'm done. I don't have to drive anymore. I get my Friday night, Saturdays back. And then he calls. He says, hey, Mike, what are you doing? And I said, well, Grand Valley Drive Program. And so, I'm going to school, coach. What do you need? He said, well, I need you to drive. So I started driving again. So I'm driving. And then we fast forward a couple more years, and I get married, and I have kids, and now I'm for sure out, right? Because I'm for sure done. I got to raise my boys. Coach, I can't drive. So he calls, hey, I need you to drive. So, Coach, I can't drive. We're busy. We got the boys that are 3 and 4 now. We're not going to be able to. I'd be damned. I'm telling you, this is the honest God truth. The van pulls into my driveway. We're loading car seats into the van. So, me and my boys started going on road trips with Coach tournaments. Now, they for sure future Jayhawks. They don't have any choice. They don't have a choice. So we're driving on the road again. We go to tournaments. So it was great. But he switched the hotel to make sure we had a pool. Make sure the kids always had candy. Sarah, right? Sarah knows. The kids always have candy. So we'd go out and do that. But I go downstairs to get the pizza. Coach, hey, you watch boys for me. I got a pizza. Throw a cartoon on would be great. But we'll get pizza for whoever could eat, and then us. Then we come back upstairs. He's watching like King of the Hill cartoon. So I walk in and the TV's going, what the hell? And I'm going, Coach, they can't watch this. Holly's gonna kill me. I'm not gonna be able to drive for sure from now on. So. But those are just some of the things. It does get a little long. I appreciate you guys all listen. But from the bottom of my heart, really, it's been said over tonight. It's going to be said again. We wouldn't be here without you. The school wouldn't have a program without you. And we're so grateful for the things we've done. And thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Mike McKelly. Our next speaker, Jayhawk wrestler. He's Mike's partner in the booth. Current Jayhawk wrestling broadcaster, a Rocket and a Viking, Greg Christensen. I'm going to pre-apologize for the things I'm about to say. I'm serious. Look, I haven't heard anybody swear yet. I wasn't paying attention earlier, honestly. But if there's anybody easily offended, you might want to go get a drink. I wasn't even going to start with this. I'm going to start with Mark Brunger and Mike McKelly. You're full of shit. It was 1991-92. I was on the first team that, after the program came back, and I'm telling you, I drove through a blinding blizzard from Muskegon to Niagara and back. So, Mike, I feel bad for you, but I did it before you did. And Brunger, your little sob story about always schedule our classes for us. Listen, it took me 3 years to get through it too. And I swear to God, my third year, I had my PE credits done. And I get my schedule, and I'm signed up for sport, judo, and self-defense. I was the only guy in the class. And this man, oh, you're such a nice guy. This man threw me from one end of that room to the other. Every day, for the first 3 days, it just hurt. And on about the third day, is this true? I walked into your office and I said, Coach, why am I in this class? I have my PE credits done. And I don't want to be in this class anymore. It hurts. And his answer, he gave me two answers. One, he said, because I'm paying for it. Two, and I swear to God, I swear this is the exact words, I'm not paraphrasing, because you follow good. I was a good Uki, he says. That's just the stuff I've added. Look, I have 3 of the big ones. Again, built into my presentation, and they're all quoting him. So again, if you're easily offended, the bar is still open. Raise your hand with your drink in it. Like everybody else, and a couple other guys have mentioned the handshake. Raise your hand like you're making a toast if you've ever experienced getting your arm jerked out of the socket trying to shake this man's hand. That's the easy one. This is the one you better admit it. All of you. Mark Brugger, I saw you do this once. Raise your hand with a drink like you're toasting coach. If you've ever put on a pair of athletic shorts and pulled it up to about here and walked around in front of people going, look, I'm Coach Gaffner. Raise it. And Mark Brugger, I know you've done it. I've seen it. It's nice that the guys from the 70s and 80s are here. You guys, man, oh man, looks like you're all in good shape. Cribbs, Swanson, round as a shape. Love to take you 2 bowling and just roll you down the lane and see how it works out. Fred Schmidt. Kevin Gue called me 2 days ago. You're talking at Gaffner's Roast. Kevin's out of town. He's working out of town. He said, you got to make fun of Schmidt. And he gave me about 15. Where's Fred? Unacceptable. He gave me about 15 things to say about Fred, and I said I wasn't going to do it. I'm not making fun of Fred Schmidt for any of those things. If I was going to make fun of him, it would be about his officiating. Good job, Fred. Cribbs, you're good. I wouldn't make fun of you about your officiating at all. I've stalled long enough. This is roasting Coach Gaffner. Cribbs, Schmidt, we'll talk later about what stalling means. You guys from the 70s and 80s, you are in good shape. What mystifies me is how Coach has stayed in such good shape. I mean, that he's able to walk all these years later after the grueling 30-year career of teaching leisure games. I mean, this guy went to the mine every day. And he's still able to get out of bed in the morning. After teaching cycling. And he probably had a blister on his foot, so they gave him a couple semesters of euchre. Can you imagine the paper cuts on this guy's hands teaching kids 30 years worth of students how to shuffle a euchre deck? I just admire the fact that he gets out of bed in the morning. So I was at Muskegon Community College from 1991. Well, I was there earlier than that, but they didn't have a program. I wrestled in the 91, 92, 92, 93 class, and I was okay. I was just okay. I wasn't one of you big guys standing up with All-American or national champion. I was an academic All-American, which means I went to class sometimes. Schmidt, Swanson, the even classes are on that side of the building, the odd are on that side. So I was just okay, and the thing that just I love about Coach is that he was just such a kind man. He was such a kind-hearted softy for the guys who didn't go there and win every match. And some of the things that the man said to me, just right here, Coach. Like the time down at the College of DuPage, my parents drove down. They were way up in the mezzanine. This is when one of the big ones happens. I'm going to quote him in just a minute. So if you don't want it, it's an F-bomb. It's coming. I was second deep in in 2 different weight classes. I had no real business being on the mat in a tight duel. The coach put me in. I honestly gotta think I was winning the match when I got caught and got another headlock and pinned. And as I walked off the mat, Coach must have known my heart was hurting. He must have known I wasn't in a good place emotionally. And he just, with his words, he just wrapped me in his warm words of grace, loud enough that I know that my parents heard it up in the mezzanine. Because when I got home, my dad woke up out of a sound sleep, walked out in his whitey tighties and said, Coach didn't like that headlock, did he? And what he said has made me a better father, a better man, a better coach. And here's what he said. It brings tears to my eyes, not as much as Brunger's, because he cries at everything. He said to me, Christensen, everybody in the whole fucking gym saw that headlock coming but you. You got me. You got me right there, Coach. Dick Anderson said he couldn't tell the stories. And then he told the story about a strip club. Oh, let's see. Your words. I'm going to leave with this, and I am going to say something else, Coach. My first year, we went and scrimmaged Eastern Michigan University. I just had this epiphany when you were talking a minute ago. We went and scrimmaged with Eastern, and we were supposed to stay at the Red Roof Inn. It's where we were supposed to stay. At least that's what we had talked about on the way down there. When we were packing our shit, like, you pack something to sleep in, like you're staying at a hotel with heat and stuff. So we get to Ypsilanti, and for some reason, they find the apartment where all of the Eastern wrestlers were staying. And we walk in. Every single one of the guys on the team was a freshman, and we've never done college wrestling before, so we go into the Eastern dorms, and there's the team, and these guys all Division I were shaking hands, and must have been the captain of their team said, Coach, leave them with us. We'll take care of them. Just come and pick them back up in the morning. Coach left with their hotel money, I'm assuming. They got out the door, and somebody from Eastern's team walked across the hall, and I'm not kidding, kicked the door down of the apartment across the hall. There was no heat. There was no electricity. I swear on whatever you want me to swear on, there were no windows in this thing. The glass was on the inside like they had been shot out from the outside. He had us stay in a crack house, ladies and gentlemen. And I know now that Dick Anderson told his story that he couldn't tell that he went to the strip club afterwards with all of our hotel money on a recruiting trip. I was a high school wrestler that I had a pretty good high school career. I wanted to wrestle in college. I didn't have a lot of opportunity, and I've said this. I always say this when I talk about Ron Gaffner. He gave me a chance. There weren't any other chances. Probably I speak for a lot of guys in this room. If it wasn't for this man, there would be no college wrestling. I can say absolutely. I wouldn't be a teacher. I wouldn't be a coach. I wouldn't be the man that I am now, for better or worse, without Coach Gaffner and the chances he gave to me, the way that he gave them to you guys. And Coach, I appreciate you. I love you. I thank you for everything you've done for me. Thanks.
Thank you for not turning it off. Craig Christensen. Next, we have a Jayhawk wrestler and the current Jayhawk wrestling assistant coach, Tom Jenkins.
Well, earlier today, Coach had asked me to go ahead and step in for him because he had lost his voice to speak for him today. And that's the only reason I'm up here. So, Coach, I'm going to give it my best shot, all right?
Thank you all for coming today. Coach, let it rest. Get to the rest. We're going to come out here. Thank you.
Jenkins. Well done. Our next speaker is Jayhawk wrestler and longtime supporter of Jayhawk Wrestling, Dan Holt.
Hey, Coach. Great. How are you tonight? So, I want to remind him, you made that football comment earlier. I just want to remind him, that wrestlers have them. Everybody else plays it. So, heavyweights in the room. Are there still heavyweights here? Can you guys stand yet? Okay. All right. The heavyweights. You're heavyweights. All right. Take a good look at these men. These are wrestlers. Okay? All right. You boys that are like 118, let's say, go up to 135 pounders. You guys stand up. Come on, guys. Get up. All right. So, Smeltzer and Strax, you guys sit down. Those of you that have adopted the heavyweight lifestyle, welcome to the club, all right? I just want to say, we have a lot of fun up here, all right? All right. So, I want to share a few tidbits about Coach and the history of Coach. Why I came to wrestle at Muskegon Community College. So, most of you know I'm a native of beautiful Spring Lake, Michigan. I have a lot of friends that were wrestling, and I was a freshman, big, brown, soft, dripping freshman. Sporting in my family was hunting and fishing. I remember a story where people would always say, "You gotta get that boy from football. That's a big boy. He's got to play football." And my dad would say, "Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about football, but I hear big double team people in football. Nobody's going to double team like big boys." But then wrestling came along. My little brother started wrestling, and he started bringing home some medals, things like that, and he could sport and fish there. I mean, that's kind of cool. I'm like, "Wow, I saw him get started and scrap, and he was smart." They started to say, "You should come wrestle with us." So I ran with nosing around a little bit around the edges, but first, we had Spring Lake. Who's the head wrestling coach at Spring Lake? He was kind of intimidating. Like, he was a lot intimidating. So I'm like, well, wait, when is this heavyweight? Dan Burke. And he's kind of beating up on people. He's a senior, and he's tearing people up. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to wrestle, especially like I'm supposed to. So I didn't wrestle until my sophomore year. So these guys talked to me going out my sophomore year. I did pretty rock. Bill Russell, like he's good cook, caught behind the leg from the ceiling, in the 13 seconds. But it took me a little time to catch on. I had a pretty good senior year, and came time to go to college. And come from really a college going to England after construction worker. Put statements in my ear. You want to come wrestle at Muskegon, and I spent a few practices up in the senior year. So, and I thought, oh, what am I looking at? So, talking to me, coming up from Muskegon, what I did was interesting. So I figured out this, here's a nice man. I think I was right my freshman year. So, I just want to run down a little list of a few things. Coach, having Cozy run around the room with me on his shoulders, that's just me. That's not even right. And then, somebody earlier was talking about how he likes things like clean, so there was this rumor flying around from my area tonight that I needed to get a little meaner, apparently. I wasn't the meanest person on the ranch. The coach used to grab me before practice. And that thing where you take your tongue and you shove it up in my chin, God, that hurts. And quite frankly, that fishing, I don't know where your finger's been. I really don't need it in my mouth. So, the other thing about heavyweights, and you heavyweights around here, you back me up on this, but I'm telling you, shooting single legs and double legs all day, that's a long ways down. And having to get up and get down, and there's a reason the little guys are all this. We didn't do a lot of standing in practice. I was better standing. So, education-wise, Muskegon was the right place for me. I wouldn't have been successful anywhere else. And I just want you guys, this is a little insight though for the wrestlers and of course, but I want you to know how important the Leahy House was to my education. That was a really important part of my education. Really learned a lot coming from Spring Lake, enjoying some nights there. So once I finished at Muskegon, I went to Michigan State. Russ was there for a few years. After graduating, we could get to know each other on a little different level. He seemed to please Coach a lot. We weren't coach-wrestler relationship too much anymore. And he could bring me into the fold a little more. We had an experience with Coach water skiing. Coach, a body this size drains a lot of water. Okay. That boat was trying hard to get me up and out of the water. I think I did for a short time, but wow, it just about killed me. I almost drowned. The other thing is, I got some great words of wisdom from Coach that don't really hold true, not necessarily because I'm a big guy. I got the bladder the size of a llama. And look at him sit here. For God's sakes, the man never gets up. He looks over at me as I'm enjoying some conversation. And he's isolated. So I tried. I didn't win. But lastly, in fairness, not for I was just going to mention, I still don't have my trophy for most valuable wrestler at the tournament. So I only won one of those in my entire career. Oh, can they make one? Okay, great. So, it was the only one I ever got, for God's sake. But mostly, I just want to say what an honor it is to honor you tonight. If it wasn't for Coach Gaffner from the Community College, I got a college degree. For God's sake, I'd have been a chef somewhere in a rundown old restaurant if it wasn't for this great experience. You deserve every time you did.
Thank you very much. Dan Holt. Our next speaker is also a Jayhawk wrestler and a longtime supporter of Jayhawk wrestling, Mark Allen. Mark?
The wrestling pedigree in this room is pretty high. My story was a little bit different. If I were to list out the most influential events in my life, then wrestling for Coach Gaffner and the Jayhawk wrestling team would be number 3 on my list. You should also know that number 1 and number 2 on my list wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been part of his program. Number 1, my wife, Ellen, of 30 plus years, was a volleyball player in Muskegon, where we met. And number 2 would be our 2 sons. Both not possible if I hadn't been part of Mr. Gaffner's program. In the spring of 1983, I had just finished up my 4th year as an assistant coach in a small community on the east side of the state. We were just starting to be recognized for a wrestling program, a program that would eventually turn into an empire called Hartman. One of our seniors was recruited by Coach Gaffner to wrestle at Muskegon. I brought him up for a visit. Coach asked me about my background and if I had an interest in giving college wrestling a try. I was interested, but not confident that I was good enough to do it. After all, I was 22 years old and only a slightly better than average high school wrestler. Coach assured me that even the second and third team wrestlers would see 15 to 20 matches in a season. I decided I'd give it a try. Once I was at Muskegon, I soon realized that Coach was really the Holy Trinity. Not the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, but Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, and Chuck Norris. I admired his confidence and his ability to command attention. Even if he didn't get your attention vocally, he would get it physically. At one of my first practices, I was early to the wrestling room to prepare. One of my teammates, Chris Mass, said, "See, Coach, he's tied his shoes and he started stretching. He's going to wrestle someone before practice and it'll be ugly. Don't come into the room until practice starts." Wise advice. When we returned to the room for practice, the new guy was as red as a lobster, covered in mat burns. Ouch. From that point forward, I waited outside the room until practice started to avoid the torture. My first season was lackluster. I didn't have the success that I had hoped for. I won a few, but I lost more. I left for home in the spring of 1984 with the intention of not returning. I figured I had tried my initial thoughts were true. I wasn't good enough to wrestle in college. I returned to my job as a delivery driver back in Heartland. Around midsummer, I received a letter from Coach Gaffner stating that wrestlers needed to arrange housing and classes soon. Some of the sting of losing had worn off at that time, and my pride took over. I wasn't good, but I wasn't a quitter. Confidence is a funny thing. Being around winners can help convince you that you are one too. I started trying to win as opposed to trying not to lose. Our team performed well and my confidence grew daily. If I was still on the mat in the third period, then I was pretty sure I was going to win. At the national tournament, I was one match away from placing, but it wasn't in the cards, and I tore my ACL in my final match. Later that evening, Coach stopped by my room to check on me. I was disappointed and icing my swollen knee. He said he was proud of me, and that it took a lot of guts to get back up and try to finish the match. He said he wished he had 10 more guys just like me. Then he left to join his coaching friends for a night out. I sat back on the bed and I thought, shit, we might not have any breakfast money left tomorrow. Then the reality hit me. I had the approval and acknowledgement of one of the toughest and most respected men I knew, that I was also tough, and that I had made it, that I was good. I've never forgotten that moment. That experience has bolstered my confidence throughout everything I have done in my life since. The JHEC program disappeared once for a short period of time and was probably closed on a few others. Every time Coach Gaffner reached out and grabbed a hold of it and said, "You're not going anywhere," he refused to let an incredibly successful program go that he had worked so hard to build and he had fought to keep going. Keep it going so that some other slightly above average high school wrestler could have a chance to be a winner.
Thank you very much, Mark Allen. We're getting close, folks. The next speaker is a national champ for the Jayhawks.
And 118 pounds.
He's a talkative cuss. In fact, he took a wrestling move and developed it further, leading to a national championship. He'll tell you about it someday, maybe not tonight, but he created the Swan. Here from Fruitport, Russ Swanson. The TV cameras right over there.
Okay, I brought up the speech coach. My name is Russ Swanson. I was Coach Gaffner's very first national champion in 1977, weighing only 118 pounds. I'm very honored to be a part of Coach. I gotta start over. I'm very honored to be a part of Coach Gaffner's legacy. That's my son back there. And to have a wrestling facility named after him is an even greater honor. But then I asked myself, why are they naming it after Ron Gaffner? The man has coached here for 42 years and never won a team national title. What's up with that, man? I was thinking of a name, something more manly and competitive, like, for example, the Russ Swanson Wrestling Room for future national champions, home of the Swanee. How many former national champs are here tonight? Raise your hand. Where are they? You guys can hold up number one. You deserve it. Perhaps they should name it after one of you guys, with the exception of Timmy Smelser. He's too small. In fact, if he hadn't wrestled the Swanee back in the day, his parents would have pressed charges on me for bullying him.
You get a taste, Ross. You get a taste.
How many runners-up are in here? You were runner-up back there? Unbelievable. Where's my buddy Frank? You guys were this close. No, I am proud of all you guys. You too, Frenchman. Maybe they could name the room after you guys. The Jayhawk Wrestling Room for runners-up. We'll get you in the finals. Except the room will have to be on the second floor, room 2. Practice starts at 2 p.m., not a second later. So my question to you runners-up is, who would make it all the way to the national finals just to be a runner-up? That's like having sex with a woman and stopping 2 minutes before your Viagra wears out in time for the grand finale. Right, Brad? All kidding to the side, it takes a lot of hard work and determination just to qualify for nationals. And to be a runner-up is okay in my book. I'm proud of all you guys, even you, Fred. Fred's my second best friend, by the way. Now, if we go through with this and name the room after Ron Gaffner, he's never going to leave. In fact, Ron and all of his senior citizen friends will be hanging out there 24/7. If I walked in the wrestling room with my street shoes on, I'd catch holy hell from Gaffner. But it's okay for him and his friends to drive their hover-rounds all over the mat. Wipe your wheels. My wife left me after 25 years of marriage. Thought I was cheating on her. One Saturday evening, I was all dressed up, and she says, "Where do you think you're going all dolled up?" I said, "The Ron Gaffner's retirement party." She said, "That's it. You've been saying that every other year for the past 10 years. I'm out of here. I'm out of here," she says. "That's bullshit. Nobody retires that many times." I said, "It's John Arter. He's running out of speeches to say on Ron's behalf. The man keeps coming back." I had a dream last week. I dreamed I was 90 years old, and my great-grandson, Russell the Sixth, told me he made the Jayhawk wrestling team. I said, "That's great, Sonny. Who's your coach?" He said, "Ron Gaffner." And I couldn't hear good, so I said, "Who?" "Hugh Hefner." He said, "No, Ron Gaffner. The guy that the old wrestling room is named after. Right next to the bingo hall." I said, "Holy shit, he's still alive?" Then I suddenly jumped up in a cold sweat and realized it was just a dream. One of the 3 young Playboy bunnies I was sleeping with at the time said, "Swanee, you just had a bad dream. Come back to bed, honey." Who said that? I look back at the time I wrestled for Ron towards the beginning of his college coaching career. I would be out there wrestling, and at times would look over to where he was sitting with his arms crossed and glaring at me with those cold, beady eyes. He never really said much, just glared at me. And when he did yell, "It was Swanee," in his Godfather-like voice, I thought it was in fact the Godfather himself during a death scene of the movie The Godfather, ordering Michael Corleone to hit the Swanee. Coach never really got excited while at my mat side during matches. I often thought that a monkey could coach me with more excitement. In closing, and all joking aside, if it were up to me, not only would I name the new wrestling facility after Ron Gaffner, I would name the whole damn college after him. Ron is much more than just a wrestling coach. He coached for 42 years. It's hard to believe. I was tired after only 2 years. I don't know where Ron found the time to do what he did. He is amazing. He went above and beyond with all of his wrestlers. He was just as proud of his academic All-Americans as he was his national champions and runners-up, too, Fred. I watched him start the study table for his wrestlers to keep them eligible. He often spoke to our instructors on our behalf. He was a coach, a father, husband, teacher, taxi cab driver, to and from all the out-of-state tournaments in Doobie. He cares about all his wrestlers, former, current, and future. It has been 40 years since I wrestled for you, Ron. Those were the best days of my life. Ron has stayed in touch with me several times every year since I wrestled for him. He is the most selfless human being I've ever met. Thank you, Ron, for being my coach and more so my friend. Love you, man.
Thank you very much, Russ Swanson. Our last speaker, before we get to the man who we're here for, he was a fellow Rocket and also a national finalist for the Jayhawks, Fred Schmidt.
All right, wow. Thank you all for coming. I must say that anything said about me was unwarranted. I do have a lot of mismatched notes here. I did have to throw some away because Randy stole some of my notes. Russ, of course, you know, who can follow Russ? The hell. I do want to say that it's been a lot of fun working on the committee. I really feel privileged to have been at community college before Ron Gaffner. We had a number of wrestlers who were there before Ron Gaffner, only by about 2 weeks or so. But from that first team, 74-75, and Bob Spears was there prior to Ron, and Bob said, okay, registration's closed, I'm going to Northern Michigan, you guys are without a coach. So they went to the powerhouse of Spring Lake, a Class B that hadn't won anything in quite a while, and plucked Ron, thank you, yeah. Plucked Ron right out of the assistant coach, Charlie Bassett. In that first year, there's a few of those wrestlers here. I'd like to re-mention their name again. We have Scott Van Straat, or excuse me, Timmy Van Straat. Timmy, sorry. And then we have Tommy Tietema. Scott, yeah. Okay, all right. Ron does not forget a thing. Tommy Tietema, Marty Espinoza, Timmy Van Straat, Guy Redinger, Darrell White, Paul Grabinski, Dan Matthews. Those guys are here tonight. We have fond memories of 3 members of that team that are no longer with us, couldn't make it tonight. That's Jerry Hill from Fruitport, Dean Burt from Spring Lake, and Lloyd Cogswell from Urbana. Dearly missed. They're great guys in the first place. But, you know, they're smiling down at us. I did have one story about Ron. Really, I have nothing bad to say about Ron. I did learn early on that there's a 3-foot rule with Ron. That is, you don't let him behind you and you stay at least 3 feet away from him. That's always the best rule, best process there. But Ron really was wise beyond his years. Yeah. So he was about roughly 28 when he was our coach when we were 18. And one of the early days after practice, we beat the crap out of us, and we're going home, and we're in the parking lot, and I'm walking to my car, and Guy Redinger is going to his car, and I said, for some damn reason, I said, hey Guy, Coach wants to see you. And so Guy says, oh shit, what'd they do? So he walks back in, he sits down in front of Coach. He says, oh, okay, I'm here. And Coach is like, I got it, everybody here. Well, Fred said you wanted to talk to him. Talk to me. Coach took his glasses off, set his pencil down, and said, let me tell you something right now. If you want to stay out of trouble, and you want to make it easy on yourself, don't listen to Fred Schmidt. And I do not understand that. That was only like 2 weeks into the season. That was just, I do not know where that came from. I do want to thank both doctors. I don't know where Johnny Rotten ever came from. Johnny was just a nice guy always. Randy, you made that shit up, I'm sure. And Dr. Nesberry. Dr. Nesberry, who I first met in Lincoln Middle School. And he had legs up to about here, and he'd run down the hallway with his trombone case. And he does have his trombone with us, too. I mean, it's in the car. John Arter, a Rocket, a fellow Rocket, been around a long time, was a long time announcer at community college, was a very influential part of getting this committee together and start burning the cats, you know. But he did a great job putting everything together. And Ron, I must say that you all a thank you. Had we not been there for you to become a coach, we were a team there, they were looking for somebody, and so we were there, so you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm not
Not really sure though, but there's probably some correlation. It's been hit upon, but you are kind of the Michael Jordan of wrestling coaches. Retire, come back, retire, come back. Yeah. That was good. All right, and I've got a couple things here, and maybe somebody can help me with this. But for coach, if you spell it C-O-A-C-H, I have for the first C, calm, correct, compassionate. I curmudgeon also, but that was something else. All right, and then O, I've got older, organized, and odd. A, I've got agile and analytical. There's other A words, but I didn't want to use them. And then we've got another C. We got charming, classy, commanding, collegial, that's right, classy. And then I just have the H. And then I've got honorable, helpful, careless. That really is all I have to say about Ron. And like I said, I was very fortunate to be there early on, and so many nice smiling faces here that we've had, great years, great memories. I do need a little help from my friend Dan Holt.
But John Colbert said he's very honest.
John, can you hold this for me, please?
I'll do that, Fred.
I want to thank my wife Lori and Nadine for contributing for the Lori made a quilt for a coach. You got the inside off here. We don't have it upside down. So what do we have? We have about, I think we have 20 t-shirts here. 20 t-shirts. Ron has been around 43 years, so let's say 40 years. He designed a t-shirt for every wrestling year, and how many years the golf outing? Many. And a t-shirt for everyone for every year. So this is a small representation of some of the t-shirts. And like Randy, all I get is a cheap little plastic hat. Coach, I'm out of shirts also. And if you look in the middle, there's one from 1975 and one from 1976. And those are from the first 2 years of Ron being there. Actually, that first one, 75, could have been the first t-shirt that Ron designed for the Jayhawks. All right. Can't see the bottom. All right, and that's really the extent I have other than Ron. Thank you. It's always been great. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Fred Schmidt and Lori. That's amazing. That's an amazing gift to bring it all together. Well, now we've reached the point where we're here to listen to the man that we're here to honor. But before I bring him up here, there's a couple of people that wanted to help him out a little bit and be on each side of him while he's doing this. And that's, of course, his daughter, Sarah, and also Robin. You come up here. And now I give the mic to Ron.
For all you wrestlers in the Lazy House, I've been waiting 30-something years to apologize when Dad showed up and you all had to jump out the window.
That's pretty big. Usually they'll take the Oh yeah.
see help the rest of the program in the future. So hopefully continue with it.
Hey guys, kills the infection and what it is.
My original plan when I came to community college was to stay 2 or 3 years and then move on to a 4-year job. I got there, instructors were amazing, the support was amazing, the help that I got when I was a kid was unbelievable. So it was going to be a stepping stone for me to move on. It turned out to be a stepping stone for the rest of us. I just enjoyed so much watching me move on to the next level, work and compete at the next level, to continue with their academic careers, to be successful, and their families and friends. It's just amazing for me to enjoy watching them be successful. But the real success of my program was the volunteers that built my program. When I first started, I recruited 3 people, Mary Hartman, Nancy Nielsen, and Max Manette. And they didn't know anything about wrestling. I said, no, you guys need to come keep time and score at the wrestling matches. And they were amazing. They came because they supported the program, because they cared about the kids. And Nancy and Mary were like grandmas. They just took these kids under their wings and they did well for athletes. And today it continues. John and Deb Leonard, Mike Kelly Sr., Seth Holt, continue to make, every year they get a call. They worked the tournament this year. Okay, coach, if you're going to be there, I'll be there. I said, 1 more year. So I want to thank all the volunteers over the years that have helped me with the tournaments and everything. Secondly, I'd like to thank all the people that participate and volunteer for the Dan Burke Memorial Scholarship Program. Dan was from Spring Lake. He wrestled for me, and went away to Adams State, came back, and he coached with me for many, many years. And he also is one of those people that he was unbelievable. He could drive for hours. So I was really good about it though, because I'd drive maybe the first 10 minutes. I'd say, Dan, you ready? Yeah. So the people that play in our golf outing, that volunteer at that golf outing, are amazing, and I really, really appreciate everyone that does. And then finally, especially my wrestlers. I've been so lucky over the years for these guys that have chosen to speak community college to continue their wrestling careers and begin their academic careers. And I'm just so thankful. I've been so lucky with the individuals that have come into the program and matured and moved on. And it's during those years, I hope, and I think I see it tonight, that some guys made some really good friendships, and they still enjoy those friendships today. And tonight, when people were coming in, and I see David and everybody, it just was amazing that the people came and turned out for this. And I thank you very much for that. Whew. All the stories that you heard tonight are lies. So, just so you understand that. I was a victim here. I was a victim here. And I'll make you up, but that's all right. And only one time, You're the famous bishop. But really, all the people that are here are so important to me, and I really appreciate what you have done for me and for our program and the success of our program. So in closing, I'd like to say a few thank yous. Muskegon Community College for this great honor of recognizing me as far as the wrestling program and the new facility is concerned. My family, all my friends for being here and just being part of this wonderful night. And all my former wrestlers for being here and continuing to support the program. Because we wouldn't have a program if we didn't have you guys and everybody in this room. So I really, really, really appreciate it. I want to thank the White Lake Eagles. I think they put on a good dinner. Awesome dinner. Thank Chuck Holtz and the other trustees that were so giving and you know, made this night the success that it is. And then especially our steering committee that put this all together and made this wonderful evening for me. And Amy Swope, our foundation director, for all the work that she did on this. But I really have to thank my wife. She helped sing whether it was tonight or whether it's the golf outing or whatever projects we undertake, she does most of the work. I get all the credit, she does all the work, so that's all right. I just want to thank you so much for all you do. And finally, I want to thank John Arter, who just has done a fantastic job of putting this together with the committee and the MC. But John and I were riding a golf cart one time. And I said, John, I got a great deal for you. He said, what's that? I said, you need to be the voice of the Jaguars. So John said, okay, I can do that. So then he came, we televised our events, so he came in and he did a commentary on that. From there he moved on to basketball and whatever. So he is the voice of the Jaguars. Finally, I just want to say that my parents will be very proud of this. They're just wonderful people, and I just hope they're proud.